So Tim Pool went on Fox News, and the host got really weird here. On Fox News, like the ultimate corporate media network, #1 in corporate media news, this guy's going to decry corporate news. You're a corporate host. You can't decry corporate news. That's you, dog. That's you. Let's watch.
Tim, you are someone who has been at the front end of media innovation over the past several years. You've created really an alternate way for people to get some of this information that is never really talked about within the dominant forces of corporate media. It seems to me that you and people like you have a critical role in shifting this conversation to what really matters. What are some of the ways that people who may not have your platform, but who want to try to shift that narrative, as you say, how can they get involved? How can they share information that cuts across and actually highlights the things that matter, as opposed to going on with this corporate narrative?
Well, it's hard because we've got the issue of big tech censorship. We see cancel culture that many on the left deny, but they're regular people with small accounts trying to express themselves. They'll say something like learn to code and get banned on Twitter. But I really do think you need a critical mass of people stepping up and expressing themselves, and I understand it's very difficult. You know, for people who have families and children, they're trying to just get through this to make sure their kids will have a better future, will be able to have food to eat, and have a job to support their families. But I really do believe that if everybody who opposed, the wokeness, the hypocrisy from our leaders, if they did speak up and they were brave, then I think we would see a dramatic and immediate change.
All right, so there's a lot to say here from the top. I mean, the host literally argues corporate media isn't talking about what matters. Again, dude, that's you. You're corporate media. And you're right, you're not talking about what matters, especially on Fox News, you're not talking about what matters. But it's just so funny that, like, they do this weird thing where they posture like they're anti-establishment. When you are the heart of the establishment, you're in the belly of the beast. That's where you are. And he says, hey, listen, corporate media isn't talking about what matters. How do we get, regular people involved to talk about what matters? And Tim Pool's response is basically, well, look, we got cancel culture, we got wokeness, and it's hard because there's big tech censorship. Now, on the big tech censorship thing, that's true, but it's not just against the right. That's the argument they like to make, is that it's only against the right. Nonsense. Chapo Trap House was banned from Reddit. There's been a number of lefty accounts that have been banned under the guise of, like, oh, they're Russian disinformation agents or whatever, and it's total nonsense. They're not that. Number of big Antifa accounts were banned. So you see this on the left, you see this on the right, you see this with voices that the establishment deems extreme. They'll go after them and they'll take them down. So it's not just a right-wing thing, but of course the implication is that it is just a right-wing thing, because that's the implication that they always make. So there is a concern there with big tech censorship. I'm also concerned about it. But then this is the point that stuck with me, though, because Tim says, well, listen, it's difficult to talk about these things that matter and focus on it because people, are just regular people and they have families and they want to look after their kids and they're just trying to have a job and get food to eat and, take care of the basics. And I listen to that and I think, Tim, that's right. But the political party that Fox News stands for is not fucking helping those people at all. At all, even a little bit. Nobody's looking to take care of the basic needs of regular working Americans on Fox News. The entire agenda they support is the opposite of that. Now, listen, the Democrats also don't really care too much about looking after regular people, but you do have to give credit where it's due, and they did do the child tax credit, and the child tax credit has helped a large number of people. So, again, credit where it's due. Biden did sign an executive order to raise the minimum wage for federal workers and federal contractors, even tipped federal contractors, where it's $15 an hour or more across the board. So again, you got to give credit where it's due. Now, having said that, neither party's really looking out for regular people in any serious, meaningful sense where you can rely on their support. But for the love of God, Fox News is the worst on this front. What has the Republican Party and Fox News been talking about nonstop for months now? It's all social issues. It's all cancel culture. It's whether it's Mr. Potato Head or Dr. Seuss or Simone Biles needs to shut the fuck up and get in there and do some gymnastic shit or vaccines or whatever. It's always, they are talking about whatever they can talk about to distract from the fact that they're not in favor of universal basic income for people when they desperately need it, that they're not in favor of universal health care for people when they desperately need it in the middle of a pandemic, that they're not in favor of abolishing student loan debt or having 4 years free college. They're not in favor of any of these things. The things that that party's in favor of are more endless war, more Wall Street bailouts, and more tax cuts for the rich. That's what Fox News advocates for. That's what the politicians who they support advocate for. Now, they don't talk about those things because they'd rather distract you by talking about 24/7 wokeness and cancel culture and all that stuff. No, I'm not saying I don't have issues with wokeness and cancel culture. I do. Oftentimes, I think that stuff goes way too far. But if somebody's focusing on it 24/7, 365, there is a reason for that. They'd rather talk about that than talk about the child tax credit, then talk about universal basic income or universal health care or free college or abolishing student loan debt or legalizing marijuana or any of these things. So it's just, you can't be on Fox News in the belly of the corporate beast and decry corporate media, and you can't say, man, people just have families and children. They're trying to just get a job and eat food and take care of their basic needs and stuff. And yeah, so let's stop posturing as if Fox News and the Republican Party are advocates for these people, are working on behalf of these people, are taking care of these people. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. They're using culture war stuff to dupe people into supporting a political and economic agenda that screws themselves. Screws themselves. So I guess that's the part that really got under my skin. The bashing corporate media on corporate media, and the idea that, like, I get it's hard, but people got to focus on serious issues. Yeah, that's not what they ever do on Fox. That's not what the Republicans ever do. The Democrats barely ever do it. So why are we pretending like this is not the reality? So there you have it. Tim Pool on Fox News, and what's that guy's name? Ben Dominic or something like that, the host? Something like that, but a lot to pick apart there.